Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough if you are the biggest media company on earth to have that company turn against you.
Snow White is officially Disney's biggest box office disaster of all time. And with the second weekend rolling in now as we speak, the train wreck is only getting worse and worse for Disney.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever.
If she never opened her mouth and she didn't do all this nonsense, people would have gone and watched the movie. They would have made their money, but then people would have been disappointed after the math.
Tell me if this is attractive to you. Like, does this, imagine you invested into her being the face of the movie and she's the main character and she's trying to promote the movie. Would this make you want to go watch the movie when she's starring in it and she's the main character?
Disney absolutely deserves a lot of the blame, but so does Rachel Zegler. Let's not get it wrong. We've seen the audience scores. One of the worst ratings we've seen in history on IMDb, with Snow White sitting at a 1.5 out of 10.
She destroyed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of IP for Disney, but she also has destroyed her career and the careers of anybody who worked on the movie. The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her.
Look no further than what Disney is doing with their woke, DEI, feminist agenda.
A few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need no man.
Out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time. Cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general, and Hollywood.
I mean, a couple of things. Obviously, dude, so much has gone on.
Please. You were saying.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I'm a narcissist.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
So Rachel Zegler has now decided to turn off replies on Instagram following major backlash over the Snow White movie.
I'm really emotional, and I'm also really tired.
What's up, people? Welcome back to Caleb Speaks. Breaking news just landed about what could be Disney's most catastrophic failure in decades. Disney just dropped a bombshell that has the entire film industry in shock. They're completely scrapping their $300 million Rachel Zegler-led Snow White remake and starting over from scratch. Guys, this isn't just another Hollywood reshoot. This is a full-blown crisis for a studio that once seemed untouchable. There's a lot of buzz about a secret meeting where scared Disney bosses finally admitted what everyone's been saying. The Rachel Zegler Snow White movie is such a huge failure that they're starting over completely. Think about that. They're throwing away the whole movie. Disney is basically saying they burned through hundreds of millions of dollars on a film that nobody will ever see. The trouble started when the first trailer dropped and audiences immediately rejected what they saw. But listen to this. It wasn't just the visuals that sparked outrage. It was Zegler herself, whose interviews quickly turned into PR nightmares. The backlash against Zegler has been building for over 2 years now. Back in 2022, when she was first cast, fans were already questioning the choice. Then came a series of interviews where she kept saying things that made fans super angry. She called the prince irrelevant, dismissed the classic romance, and insisted her Snow White would be a leader instead of someone dreaming about true love. Each time she spoke, fans got more upset. Exactly the people Disney needed to make happy. And it didn't stop there. At fan conventions and press events, Zegler doubled down on her comments. Instead of trying to smooth things over, she seemed almost proud of how different her version would be from the beloved original. There's this one interview where she's sitting next to Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, and even Gadot looks uncomfortable with what Zegler is saying about the classic story. What really set fans off was Zegler's obvious political agenda. She repeatedly pushed modern identity politics into her interviews, making Snow White sound more like a college activism seminar than a fairy tale. She talked about the patriarchy, criticized traditional gender roles, and kept emphasizing how her version would be all about female empowerment and rejecting old-fashioned ideas about romance and relationships. Her social media history didn't help either. Fans dug up her old tweets and TikToks where she'd made extremely political statements about all kinds of hot-button issues. Whether you agree with her views or not, Disney princess films are supposed to be timeless and appeal to everyone, not divide audiences along political lines. Instead of focusing on the magic and wonder of Snow White, Zegler kept turning every interview into a platform for her personal politics. Her social media posts made things even worse. She would respond to fan criticism with dismissive comments, which only fueled the fire. Then when the backlash got serious, she tried to blame editing and claimed her words were taken out of context. But by then, the damage was already done. Multiple videos compiling all her controversial statements went viral, getting millions of views and turning public opinion firmly against her. Disney's PR team tried damage control, but every new interview seemed to create another problem. They eventually started restricting her media appearances and having other cast members speak instead, but that only made people more suspicious that Disney knew they had a serious problem on their hands. What's crazy is how Disney completely failed to anticipate the backlash. Social media exploded with criticism. Hashtags condemning the creative direction trended for weeks, and even Disney's most reliable supporters in the critic community started jumping ship, and it gets worse. Reports from entertainment outlets describe emergency meetings where Disney marketing executives were totally freaking out. They couldn't figure out how they got things so wrong. According to one Disney employee who spoke anonymously to a major news site, the bosses have never been this scared before. These executives were watching real-time data showing that interest in seeing the film was dropping with each new promotional release instead of building excitement. The fan response was unlike anything Disney has faced before. YouTube videos criticizing the remake got tens of millions of views. The trailer became one of the most disliked videos in YouTube history before they removed the dislike counter. Fan art mocking the new version went viral on Instagram and TikTok. Even family-friendly Disney fan channels that normally stay positive about everything Disney does couldn't defend this one. The backlash wasn't just from typical online trolls either. Longtime Disney fans, parents, film critics, animation historians, and even former Disney employees spoke out against the changes. One video where an elderly Disney animator who worked on classic films reviewed the trailer got over 15 million views, with him sadly shaking his head saying, "This isn't what Walt would have wanted." Things got even worse when early test screening reactions leaked online. These are those special preview screenings where regular people watch an early cut of the movie and give feedback. According to several leakers who saw these screenings, audiences were confused by the tone of the film and disappointed by the changes to the story. Kids in particular didn't connect with the new version, which is a disaster for a Disney fairy tale. To make matters worse, other studios started moving their family films to the same release window, seeing Snow White as wounded prey rather than the box office predator Disney films usually are. That's when studio bosses knew they had a true crisis on their hands. The money problems are huge. All the toys and stuff they made for the movie aren't selling. Stores are cutting prices like crazy. There are reports of Snow White toys already in the clearance section at Target. That never happens with Disney princess stuff. Disney has millions of dollars in toys nobody wants. For a company that makes half its money selling toys and t-shirts, this is a total disaster. Industry analysts are reporting shocking numbers. Disney typically invests around $100 million just in merchandise for a major princess film release. That's before a single ticket is even sold. They make deals with toy companies, clothing brands, makeup lines, and school supply manufacturers months or even years before the movie comes out. All those companies are now stuck with products they can't sell and are demanding compensation from Disney. According to retail industry newsletters, major retailers like Walmart and Target have reportedly cut their Snow White orders by over 70%, which is unheard of for a Disney princess property. These retail giants have decades of data showing that Disney princess products are usually guaranteed sellers, regardless of how the actual movie performs. The fact that they're backing out shows just how toxic the Snow White brand has become with consumers. But that's not all. Even more telling is how quickly everyone in Hollywood started distancing themselves from both the project and Zegler. Even people in Hollywood who loved the movie's modern take are now backing away from it. The craziest part? Disney canceled all of Zegler's planned TV appearances and interviews. That shows how badly they want this whole mess to just go away. The reason this is happening, the issues run way deeper than just poor messaging or an unpopular lead. Leaked documents I've reviewed exposed bitter internal conflicts between Disney's marketing, creative, and public relations departments during the film's development. These misalignments led to a promotional campaign that constantly contradicted itself, leaving audiences confused and increasingly frustrated. The controversial handling of the Seven Dwarfs became the perfect example of the project's tone-deaf approach. As one critic put it, they'll still offend the dwarves, but with CGI dwarves, so they'll guarantee no employment for little people while getting rid of components that warranted CGI. It was the worst decision they could possibly make. Now it gets crazier. Disney's timeline for the new reboot shows just how thoroughly they're abandoning the current version. Production is set to begin in late 2025, with a theatrical release projected for spring 2027. That's not a delay, that's a complete restart with a new creative team, new cast, and a radically different approach to the material. But here's where things take a shocking turn. According to several credible entertainment journalists, this new version will return to the emotional heartbeat and visual language of the original animated classic. Here's what that really means. Disney is giving up on their controversial new version and going back to the classic story people actually want. The reboot will bring back all the beloved characters, songs, and fairy tale magic that the Zegler version didn't have. Disney promises this remake will follow the 1937 story much more closely, with just small updates instead of changing everything. The most significant change? The new version will actually respect the original fairy tale themes instead of trying to push a modern political agenda. Reports say Disney execs finally realize that audiences go to these movies to escape real-world issues, not to be lectured about them. The new script reportedly keeps Snow White's kindness and optimism as her defining traits, rather than trying to make her into some kind of warrior princess who doesn't need anyone's help. Trade publications are reporting that in what appears to be a direct response to the Zegler situation, the new production will include tighter media training protocols to ensure messaging remains in sync with the film's themes. In other words, they're not letting another actor go off script and trash the original material. The studio is reportedly seeking a lead actress who embodies classic Hollywood elegance with an emphasis on charm, relatability, and vocal talent. Everything fans felt was missing in the previous casting. The message is clear. Disney won't risk another PR disaster where off-screen comments become the center of attention. But wait until you hear this next part. Industry reports reveal Disney is bringing back legacy animators and consultants who worked on previous princess projects, including those from the beloved Renaissance-era films of the 90s. These veterans are being brought in to guide the new team on tone, pacing, and emotional consistency. It's a humbling move for a studio that had seemingly abandoned its artistic roots. As one insider told The Hollywood Reporter, they're finally admitting they need the people who actually understand Disney magic, not just Disney marketing. The plot thickens with news about all those musical elements that were reportedly sidelined in the Zegler version. They're coming back in full force. Classic songs like Someday My Prince Will Come and Hi-Ho will be restored, alongside new compositions designed to complement rather than replace the original soundtrack. The forest animals, beloved by generations of fans, will return with enhanced animation, blending practical effects and CGI, directly addressing criticism that the modern version had lost all the charm and wonder of the classic. As for Zegler herself, you won't believe this. She's been notably silent since the reboot announcement. The actress, who was once celebrated for her breakout role in West Side Story, now finds herself at the center of one of Hollywood's most high-profile failures. Her absence from the new project is expected, though no official statement has been released. Zegler's rise and fall has been shockingly fast. Just a few years ago, she was an unknown high school student who beat out 30,000 other actresses to win the role of Maria in Spielberg's West Side Story. Her performance got rave reviews, and everyone was calling her Hollywood's next big star. She won a Golden Globe, got invited to present at the Oscars, and landed major roles in the Hunger Games prequel and Shazam 2 before getting cast as Snow White. But now, several casting directors quoted in entertainment news sites say her career is in big trouble. They wonder if she can ever recover from being part of such a huge failure. One casting director quoted in Variety said that studios are now nervous about working with her because she's become known for creating controversy rather than promoting her projects positively. The Snow White drama has also raised bigger questions about how studios choose their leads for these mega-budget remakes. Zegler was cast when she was just 20 years old, with only one major film under her belt. Several industry insiders told me Disney may start looking for actors with more experience who understand the responsibility that comes with iconic roles. Sources close to Zegler say she's been blindsided by the intensity of the backlash. She reportedly expected some pushback for modernizing the story, but wasn't prepared for fans to reject the changes so completely. Some friends have suggested she take a step back from big franchise films and focus on smaller projects where expectations and scrutiny aren't so intense. One thing that's made the situation worse is how Zegler has handled criticism. Instead of acknowledging fans' attachment to the original story, she often seemed to mock or dismiss their concerns. She's repeatedly labeled her critics as toxic and suggested anyone who didn't like her take on Snow White was just resistant to progress or holding outdated views. This combative approach created a stark contrast with other Disney actresses like Emma Watson and Lily James, who were careful to express respect for the original animated classics even while promoting their modern takes on Belle and Cinderella. Those actresses understood that insulting the classics that generations grew up loving was not a smart promotional strategy. The reboot announcement has fans cautiously hopeful online. I've been reading the comments, and while some people still don't trust Disney, others are excited they might finally be listening. Many fans just want the magic back. The songs, the romance, the classic animation style. If Disney gets it right this time, they'll show up on opening night. This isn't just about Snow White, it's about all Disney's remakes. After years of making less money and getting more criticism, Disney finally seems to understand they need to change how they make these movies. The big question isn't just if they can fix Snow White, it's whether they can bring back the magic that made everyone love Disney in the first place. From what industry insiders are revealing, Disney finally gets it. Fancy marketing can't replace good storytelling. The new Snow White isn't just another remake, it's a test to see if Disney can change and actually listen to what fans want. Behind the scenes, bosses are super focused on making everything work together, from costumes and casting to lighting and music, to match what made Disney special in the first place. For Disney, this is do or die. It's not just about fixing one movie, it's about showing they can still make stories people love. This Snow White disaster might be the wake-up call Disney really needed. Can they bring back the magic? We'll see. But one thing's for sure, Disney is now racing to remind everyone why Snow White was the movie that started everything and why it deserves another chance to shine. So what do you think? Was Disney right to scrap everything and start over? Or is this just another example of a studio that's lost touch with what audiences actually want? Let me know in the comments below. Caleb signing out. I'll catch you in the next video.